My Crown Vic race car has got to be ready to race in just a few days, but it looks a little mismatched at the moment. So we're gonna paint the entire car with Rustoleum Turbo Cans. Let's see how many it takes. Time to transform this thing from a life of protect and serving and annoyance and eyesore of my poor neighbors, and we can't really do it any cheaper than this. Well, depending how many cans we'll use. We'll start with a bath to rid the Vic of the sins of its previous life and rid it of the welding smoke residue when Keith welded the doors shut. She is one dirty, mismatched girl. With her scrub complete, it's time to get this thing ready for some rattle canning. But that actually wasn't the original idea for this car. So originally, all I was gonna do to this thing was paint this bumper. Apparently the paint fumes are getting to me before we even begin painting. Wow, bumper? So it matched the rest of the car. I was gonna try to dust some paint on that blue strip and all these tabs that they use to weld the door shut, and in here in the front bumper, and also in here, and then this blue stripe as well. Also these tabs, and then back inside the rear bumper, and also actually all that. And then it occurred to me, I was gonna be painting an awful lot of the car. Like, a lot of it. Then my brother gave me the genius idea to utilize the greatest invention since contraception, the 14-inch tower of terror that is the Turbo Can, with a nozzle so wide it makes you feel like you're crop dusting instead of painting. But painting's all about the prep, so we gotta get the cool badge off the new fender. What in the gosh darn heck did they attach this with? What the heck? Did JB weld this thing on? Holy cow. Then remove the adhesive. With the fender debadged and cleaned up, I can mask off the car, which is pretty much just the windshield, because it's very important I see that checkered flag waving, signaling my victory. And once we mask off both those blue ovals, the mess that is prep begins. I'm not gonna be a complete bum about this and not do any prep at all, but I'm gonna do about the bare minimum. So I've got some 400 grit sanding discs from my favorite store. I'm gonna throw them on the DA, and we're basically gonna just remove the gloss on here to give the paint something to bite into, if it isn't able to bite into the, pollen that's already coating it. But just as soon as I started sanding, I realized this was much more harsh than I was aiming for. This wasn't as much of a scuffing as it was really digging into the old paint. That actually might be a little too aggressive for it, I'm thinking. I continue to use it, but just on the miscolored fender, since it needed that aggression. But after heeding some different advice, on the rest of the car, I use a scuff pad, which seemed to be doing a good job in dulling the gloss of the paint, giving the Rustoleum something to bite onto. At least I think it's doing a good job. But once I got around to the passenger fender, I actually forgot I have another fender coming. A new fender coming. Well, new used fender. So, I don't have to paint that one. It'll look a whole lot better than that. Next, I move to the doors, where I use one of those coarser 400 grit discs folded onto a block of wood for the lower sections. Then I use the scuff pad for higher up. But we might need to change up our approach here. The scuff pad I'm using might be a little dull. Well, that's getting rid of some of the gloss, not as much as I wanted though. I hand sanded this part with that 400 on a block, just cause the car is originally blue. They painted this black and there was this trim piece here. So they just sprayed over it all. When I took off that trim piece, there's a little bit of a bump where the two paints collide, which, if I don't knock down, is gonna be clearly visible right through our new paint. So I'm gonna make another trip to the real happiest place on Earth, Harbor Freight, to grab different materials. Got some new stuff to try. I got some 800 grit sanding discs. We'll try those in the DA so my arm doesn't fall off. And if those don't work, I just got another one of those scuff pads. I think I inhaled too much dust. So we're gonna try first with the sanding discs, see how those work. If they work, we'll keep using them. But when I hit a panel with the new sanding discs, very nice, very good. They work absolutely perfect. Not too aggressive, but much more effective and shoulder savings than the scuff pads. So I do use the scuff pads for some areas where I think it'll do better, like the intricate curves of the rear bumper. I re-hit some spots like the hood and front bumper, then finish off with the roof, and then...
Whew, quite the freaking workout, but I think she's just about ready for paint. I still have to blow it off. Everything except, of course, for that panel has been sanded down, scuffed down, looking less glossy. Still, you know, somewhat glossy, but I think we've knocked down the gloss enough for the paint to stick. So we're gonna blow it off, wipe it down, see if there's any spots that need a little more attention, and then we'll be ready to spray the turbo cans. I'm excited.
Now I can blow off any dust and debris, give it a final wipe down with a microfiber, and she's almost ready to be painted. The car looks like it's been sanded with a cactus, but that's the point. A good paint job starts ugly. And I think we've got that down pat. A bag will cover the steering wheel to keep any overspray off it, since there's no windows in this car anymore. And some crap blankets and towels I had laying around will keep the black wheels and tires from getting more black on them. These turbo cans need a serious shake. I'm talking shake it like it owes you money.
Here goes nothing.
Now we start laying down some paint. This is my first time using these turbo cans, so I'm slowly getting used to just how wide they spray and how far away I have to be from the car when spraying.
These things are nuts. Oh boy, I'm definitely gonna get runs on that one.
Again, still getting used to these things. It's a tad different than a standard spray can. It's like trying to spray paint with a fire hose.
Well, I'm having two problems right off the bat. The first one is, for some reason, especially up here you can see it. I don't know why it's shooting like it's not like it's orange peel. It's like its paint is foamy. I don't know what's going on. And then up here, that's where I was spraying the hood and my pants brushed up against the paint. It's not a huge deal, it's just annoying because that's the best looking part so far. I'll just have to wait till that dries. I'll scuff it and reshoot it quick. Not a huge deal. The nice thing about Rustoleum is you can touch up areas, you know, pretty dang easily. All right, let's keep going.
Crap kept falling from the trees onto the car, I keep having to blow off areas before I paint them.
Only problem is, when they start to get low, they start spitting bad.
Can one down, onto the second one, and we're already at the back of the car. And on this panel, I'm being extra cautious not to let any loose clothing float its way into the wet paint.
Oh good. Looks like it's darkening up outside. I sure hope it rains. See, one of the other problems with painting outside is half of those blemishes are just stuff in the clear coat, but look at the crap that's falling in it. I know the hood looks really bad because I kind of messed up that first line right there. And it's hard with these, hard to not get stripey with these spray cans. In all reality, it doesn't look bad at all. Way better than I thought. All right, let's do a second coat before it pours. Well, the rain went from 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and it's 4:59. So I'm pretty well screwed. So I'm gonna at least put it in the bay here, keep it dry so that what I have done isn't ruined, and then we'll have to continue.
So I awkwardly finagled myself into the car, attempting to do so without touching any of the wet paint. probably the hardest thing I've had to do all year. And using my phone camera as a guide, like a periscope of sorts, I navigate the Vic into the garage to hide from the rain.
All right, now that we can see clearly now the rain is gone, literally, we can finish painting the Vic. The only thing really that we have left to do is touch up a few spots and the roof. It's been a few days. We still don't have that other fender that we're gonna be putting on, but that's all right. We'll at least get the whole thing black. And so far, so good.
Even though it was in the garage the last few days, there's plenty of dust and pollen on the surface. So now I'm wiping it down with a microfiber, blowing it off, and finally painting the roof. The roof's a bit of a challenge since the cans don't like to spray at much of an angle besides straight up and down.
Of course, it's not raining, it's windy as hell.
And I'm switching which way I'm spraying so I don't get lines like you see. Hopefully don't get lines. I guess we'll see how it lays down when it dries. She's all done?
Overall, it's not too shabby. I mean, in the cameras always make things look better, and it looks really good. The paint shoots and sprays good. The painter is bad, and the environment's bad. It was just a bad day to be painting outside, really. There's a few spots that I have to touch up, like here. But the day that I did it, I mean, even now you can see there's already pollen on this thing, and it's been outside for all of 5 minutes. It's springtime here in New Hampshire. So you've got pollen, you've got dandelions, which you can actually see. Actually, there's one right there. They would land in the paint, and I couldn't get them out, so they're just there. And right there, and right there, and there. I don't know what happened there. And there's one, and there's one. But that's not even the main concern on the hood, because you have all these little, I think the factory clear coat was starting to chip. As a matter of fact, my F-350 is doing the same thing on the hood. That must have just been this era of Ford quality paint, but nothing I can do about that unless I strip the thing down to bare metal. If I was painting this inside, it would have come out a lot better. I still don't have this fender yet. I'd like to get that on the car and painted to match everything else before I put the decals on before the first race. If I don't, it's not a huge deal breaker because it looks close enough, but I hate having that. Now, one big problem I did have, which you can clearly see here on the roof, and you don't really see it as much on the hood, but on the roof you can definitely see, looks like I tried to do a freaking checkerboard up here. And the problem is the spray pattern on those are so wide, and the can doesn't like to shoot if it's at any angle other than basically straight up and down. So when I was doing this area, it was kind of hard. And I did a few passes this way, and then I switched and did a few passes this way, thinking that that would blend the whole area in, but it didn't. Instead, it just made it look like I did a checkerboard. Yeah, not great. Again, this isn't a Shelby Cobra restoration we're doing here. It's a Crown Vic, and it's gonna be a race car, so. At least it's all one color now, and I think it looks really good for the time and money that we have into it. Which brings us to our next question. How many cans did we use? 4 whole cans is what it took us to paint the Crown Vic. I did like about 2 coats over the entire car. So if my math is mathing, they were $14.97 a piece times 4. That would be $312? No, $608. So for under $70, hell, under $60, you can paint an entire car. And it might look like that depending how much prep you do and where you paint it. Which I think where you paint it is the biggest defining factor here of how it comes out, because mine really would not have come out as not good if I was doing it inside or on a day that wasn't spring, where the flowers just decide to be super jazzed up and just pollen everywhere. Overall, it looks good. It's one color. It may have the, may be as pimply as a teenager's face on the surface, but it's a nice, quick, and fun budget option to painting an entire car in a day. So thank you all very much for watching. Next video with the Vic, we should be putting decals on this thing and my numbers. And wait till you see what number I got. It's a very, very special number. One of my favorite numbers. I'll include links below to the Rustoleum Turbo Cans. So if you guys want to paint your car, have at it. We'll see you in the next one. Happy motoring.